Good evening and thanks for joining us. We begin with the latest on President Trump, who has not fully recovered from COVID-19. He has just been discharged from the hospital. The president walked out of the Walter Reed Medical Center wearing a mask. He was only diagnosed Friday, so it's assumed he's still contagious. We're told he's still taking 2 drugs, including one that's usually given to people who are severely ill with COVID-19. He gave a thumbs up and was driven to the presidential helicopter, then flown to the south lawn of the White House, where an outbreak of COVID-19 continues to spread through his inner circle. Earlier today, Trump tweeted, "I will be leaving the great Walter Reed Medical Center today at 6:30 p.m., feeling really good. Don't be afraid of COVID. Don't let it dominate your life. I feel better than I did 20 years ago." Well, COVID-19 is not a youth serum, and the virus is dominating his life and his administration, not to mention the families of the more than 210,000 Americans it has killed. Trump's press secretary, Kayleigh McEnany, is the latest on his staff to test positive for COVID-19. She's been briefing reporters as recently as yesterday without a mask. At least 14 people in Trump's inner circle are now known to be positive. This afternoon, his doctors agreed he was ready to be discharged, though he's still taking at least 2 medications.
Over the past 24 hours, the president has continued to improve. He's met or exceeded all standard hospital discharge criteria.
Our plan is to give the 4th dose of remdesivir this evening before he goes back to the White House, and we've made arrangements to deliver the 5th and final dose of his treatment course at the White House tomorrow evening. He continues on dexamethasone.
Jackson Proskow is at the Walter Reed Medical Center where Trump just left. Jackson, Trump isn't cured. He still has COVID-19. And yet, what did he do as soon as he walked up the steps of the White House?
Good evening to you, Donna. The president's release was essentially choreographed as almost a campaign ad. And as he walked up the steps of the White House, he paused on the balcony outside the White House doors and took off his mask. Remember, he is still likely infectious. And then he stepped into the White House maskless. This entire evening, though, really was made for the cameras. There were lights set up here on the steps of Walter Reed. His official photographer was seen with him on the balcony of the White House. And now he's heading inside where he tries to manage a pandemic that has killed more than 210,000 Americans and has sickened many people, including him, within the White House. Shortly before being discharged from Walter Reed Medical Center, the president's doctors continued to paint a rosy picture of the world's most famous COVID-19 patient.
Though he may not entirely be out of the woods yet, his clinical status support the president's safe return home.
Despite Donald Trump's continued use of therapies typically reserved for severe cases of the virus, he will be allowed to recover at home, though he's likely still infectious and surrounded by a mountain of unanswered questions about his health.
So you have to believe, given what we've seen this past 5 days, that this is all to project an image. It's to project an image of not being vulnerable or to project an image that everything's okay.
It's not clear if Trump's hospital departure may have been ill-advised. Experts see it as part of an epidemic of troubling behavior by the White House. 24 hours earlier, the president took a joyride past supporters and media outside the hospital, enclosing himself in an SUV with 2 Secret Service agents.
You know, the reality is that this was a dangerous move. There is no medical benefit for this to have taken place. It violates CDC guidelines that come from the president's own administration.
There's now a growing cluster of cases connected directly to the executive mansion, including Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany and 2 of her aides.
Hey there.
Despite her own close contact with confirmed cases, McEnany had chosen not to quarantine before her positive diagnosis and was still at work on Sunday, where she briefed reporters without a mask.
Yeah, I'm not going to give you a detailed readout with timestamps of every time the president's tested.
She and Trump's doctors still refuse to say when the president last tested negative, a critical question that could shed light on whether Trump was infectious during the presidential debate with Joe Biden or the campaign rallies that followed. Biden says he's still open to future debates.
If the scientists say that it's safe and the distances are safe, then I think that's fine. I'll do whatever the experts say is the appropriate thing to do.
Back at the White House, at least 3 reporters and 2 House staff have come down with the virus. Several report having no contact from the White House and no attempt at contact tracing. While the White House has a fully functioning medical unit inside, it's not clear how they'll manage isolating a potentially infectious patient. One thing is clear, they will likely try and keep the president inside the residence and out of the West Wing. But Donna, as we've seen over the past few days, the president has little or no interest in following those types of guidelines or common sense. Donna?
All right, Jackson Proskow, thank you.